All right, guys. The next guest is coming off one of the craziest title shots in UFC history. The man who went 5 rounds against Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 223. He is the Iron Sheik of MMA, here to make everybody humble. Long Island's own Raging Al Iaquinta. Welcome back to Submission Radio. How are you today, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How's everything?
Good. So, Al, it's been a couple of weeks now. Tell us, how's life been for you since UFC 223?
Fat. I've just been eating a lot.
What have you been eating?
Everything. Italian, ice cream, Italian, pizza, ice cream, ice cream.
It's just an ice cream diet. I remember you told us ice cream's your favorite food. What's the flavor you normally go for?
Anything. I mix it up. Try a little bit from everywhere. We have this place called Carvel, and they make these cakes that are like chocolate, and then it's got a layer of crunchies, and then it's got vanilla, and then it's got icing on the top. That's probably my go-to, the ice cream, Carvel ice cream cake.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about what's going on. Did you go straight back into work afterwards, or did you have a little bit of time to recover and enjoy sort of the moment that was the craziness of that weekend?
Oh yeah, it took me a while to get that soreness out. I was sore for a while, a week. Sore for a week, and my face was swollen up pretty good. I was pretty banged up. Yeah, it took a little time, just relaxed. Got myself back to being presentable and right back at it.
Well, yeah, we can see you back to your handsome self, and you got the that's the real estate polo you got on now, right?
Yes, sir.
Representing. Were you working today?
Home Smart Premier Living. I was. I have a buddy of mine, Pat Brown, and his fiance Jessie. They're looking out in Long Island, so I showed them 4 houses today, and they like a couple of them. So we'll see what happens.
With the craziness of that weekend, and you obviously being across on all the different media outlets and the news outlets, did you notice an influx of people contacting you, trying to get you to organize for them to buy a home through you after that weekend? Are you getting more calls now in that regard?
No, absolutely. Definitely has been good for business. I think I showed a lot of heart in the fight, and people respect that. And if I can push through that, I can do anything. They know that. And selling a house is, it's what I do. So anything I do, I put my all into it, and people see that, they respect it, and they come to me for help.
For sure. Well, speaking of your work as a real estate agent, something interesting happened early today. Tony Ferguson took a bit of a shot at you. I think it was just a few hours ago, I think, on Twitter, when he referred to you as a non-full-time fighter, real estate agent, ranked number 11. Basically how, he shouldn't have been stripped. What did you think when you saw that? You guys had a bit of a back and forth.
Yeah, I was just like, dude, shut the fuck up. Who was that guy to say anything? He had a title shot, and he freaking blew it. He tripped on a wire. That's like, I don't know. It's like nature's weeding you out. You're being weeded out. You're like a kid that trips over kids trip over things. Adults, like, you're a professional athlete and you can't not trip over a wire, and then you're gonna just like disappear for a while. You're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? If that happened to me, if I had to pull out of a title fight because I tripped over a wire, you're not hearing me talk shit on Twitter at all. I'm gonna hide somewhere. I'm not gonna act tough. He's acting tough. Like right now, a middle school kid could kick the shit out of him right now because he can't do anything. You can't talk shit when you're in a state that you're in. The guy he's so weird. He just doesn't, like, who cares about that guy? He's really just good at fighting, and that's it. If it wasn't for fighting, he'd be like a worthless person. You know what I mean? There's no point to Tony Ferguson besides him, like, honestly, really, like, people beating his ass. He gets dropped every fight, and he's out of his mind in fighting. That's the only reason that people like watching him get his ass kicked and come back and win. That's the only thing that Tony Ferguson's good at in, like, the world. He's no one likes his personality. He's a weird dude. Like, I don't even know what's the point of that guy? There's no point. Just go away. You tripped on a wire, and I got the title shot. Now you're gonna come at me? I've fought with worse injuries than that, guaranteed, in my career. And you get the fight week, you're fighting. You don't pull out of a fight during fight week. Don't come after me because I took advantage of a situation that his fucking, he couldn't capitalize on. The guy's won like how many fights in a row has he won? 10 fights and he still hasn't fought for a title? Like, there's a reason for that. You know what I mean? No one likes you. Go away.
He finished it off by saying, "One day we'll see each other in the octagon if you keep winning. #tough guys." What did you make of that?
Who knows? I can't make up anything that guy says. I don't know. I can't make it. I really have no idea what the fuck that guy's talking about at all. I don't know. He said he was rooting for me, but then he goes and says that. Like, I don't know. The guy's weird. He's making fun of my grammar. Then he's talking like, like I look at he like capitalizes letters and the first letter of every word is capitalized. Then he's making fun of. I put your instead of your, like, same shit. It's fucking Twitter. Shut up. Who cares? I don't know. That guy's just annoying. He really needs to just go away until he can fight. And then once you fight, just fight, dude. Everyone likes you fighting. Not a single person likes that guy. Everyone's on Twitter. Everyone's on that I talk to. They're like, just shut up, man. Everyone was looking forward to that fight. He disappointed so many people, and I come in, save the day. Don't freaking say shit about me, bro. He's been dropped in every fight. I drop someone, I kill that. I put them out. So it's not. It's a different style matchup than me and Khabib. And I didn't train right for that fight. That guy, and especially right now, I could beat the shit out of Tony Ferguson with my pinky finger. The guy can't even walk. You can't talk shit right now.
Well, I mean, obviously, one of the biggest stories there was the fact that you stepped up on almost minutes' notice. Where does that moment and I guess whole experience rank for you sort of in your career so far? And in some ways, did it trump some of, your biggest wins just because of the magnitude of the event, fighting for a world title and, to top it all off, fighting in your hometown of New York?
Yeah, I just wish I would have got the win, man. I almost wish I would have just known that was going to happen. I almost knew it was going to happen, but I didn't want to train for that fight because I knew if I trained for it, then it wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So I was like, I don't know. I just was focused on what I was doing, and then when it started unraveling, I was like, I would joke in the gym all the time, like, one of these guys getting hurt. I'm fighting for the title. Vellante texted me. He was like, "Bro, you said this was gonna happen," and I did. I asked John Vellante. I said to him, I said, "This is gonna happen. I'm gonna fight for a title, guaranteed." And I was kind of like half joking, but in my back of my mind, I was like, it actually is a very good possibility. I kind of thought it might have been Khabib that was going to get hurt, or not make weight or something, but it ended up being Ferguson, and then Holloway, then Pettis, then I don't even know what was going on with all that nonsense. Felder, I was the guy. I don't think none of those guys wanted it, really. I don't think any of them really wanted to fight.
What do you mean, like Felder and Pettis and those guys?
Maybe Felder. I don't know. Felder might have. I don't know. But Pettis, I don't think so. I think he priced himself out of the market, so to speak. You know what I mean?
You mean on purpose to not take that fight?
Yeah, I mean, there's a price for everything. If you want, if I don't really want to fight him, I'll be like $3 million, $5 million. And if they pay, sure, I'll go in there and, if I don't think I'm ready, I'll whatever, but take a payday kind of thing. There's a price for everyone's ass whooping, but it was a fight that I really thought I could win. I made a few mistakes early on. I got those 2 takedowns. I think really, the takedown in the first round, he held me down the whole first round, and in the second round, held me down the whole second round, and he wasn't really beating me up too bad. The other guys he's fought, he's really beat up a lot worse. But then that third round came, I started defending the takedowns. I was a little behind him. He was just he was a little fresher. I only really trained for 3 rounds, and I just wish I kind of paced myself. I did the best that I could. I mean, I really don't have too many regrets. I fought him the best that I could. I tried to conserve energy where I thought it was smart to conserve energy. I tried to use energy where I thought I had a chance to finish the fight. I just couldn't get it done, And hats off to Khabib. He's an animal. He's an absolute savage. So I haven't gotten an ass kicking like that in a while, and hopefully the last one for a good amount of time.
Oh, for sure.
It's the worst ass whooping that Tony Ferguson could ever put on me. That guy would get dropped in a silly second. He fucking guy gets dropped there. Kevin Lee dropped that guy. Kevin Lee can't drop anybody.
We got to get your thoughts. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm good.
We're going to get your thoughts on Kevin Lee's performance in a second, but just sort of on Khabib, you mentioned how he's an animal and he's a savage. Obviously it was an interesting and sort of famous moment where you were on the Mayo and you're talking about how you'd need to be paid $1 million to fight Khabib, and sort of everyone in the lightweight division kind of speaks about him as if, it's almost like he's a boogeyman. But being in there in the cage with him, did that sort of humanize him, and did it change your perception of him a little bit? Kind of like, you know what? Obviously, he won the fight, but did it kind of make you think like, you know what? Maybe he's not as, I guess, I don't know, mythical as maybe some people would have thought going in, now that you've been there with him for 5 rounds.
No, I knew that going into it. You know what I mean? Every fight is different. Every fighter has a different style. I knew that, my wrestling's good. I wish I would have been able to really challenge him with the wrestling and kind of compete with him with the wrestling. My wrestling's good. I kind of just I felt like I could have done more as far as the wrestling was concerned. I kind of just waited and thought that I'd try to save myself for the striking. I knew when we got on the feet, I'd have a lot more of an advantage. And wrestling can take a lot out of you. So he put me down every time I was trying to defend those takedowns, and then he just controlled me. You know what I mean? What was the original question? I'm kind of old.
I actually wanted to ask you, what did you think about Kevin Lee's performance? Because you already answered my question. What did you think about Kevin Lee's performance over the weekend?
Kevin Lee looked good, man. Kevin Lee looked good. He scored a smart fight. Southpaw came out. See, I give Kevin Lee credit when credit is due. That guy doesn't give anyone credit. Jesus.
You're giving him more credit than he gave you. He was talking about how you're a sacrificial lamb. This is the nicest you've ever been to Kevin Lee.
No, because I give credit where credit is due. He looked good.
Mm-mm.
He came out southpaw to kind of throw off the. Listen, I'll give him credit where credit is due, but I'm still his fucking daddy. I beat the shit out of him. I got his number forever. He knows that. But he's not taking me down. But he controlled that whole fight. He looked strong. He looked powerful. He wore him out on the ground, and then on the feet he kind of had his way with it. And the biggest thing that stuck out in my mind with Kevin Lee is Kevin Lee got kicked in the head and was wobbling all over the place, and he could have found a way out of that fight, and he managed to stick it out. I think should have let him up. He should have never went to the ground with him. He should just let him up, and I think he would have won that fight. But Kevin Lee could have looked for a way out, and he said he was not losing that fight. Kevin Lee drank the Kool-Aid. He came out looking across the ring like he was a tough guy, and he backed it up. So definitely gotta give him some credit for that. But I still kick his freaking ass.
Well, I mean, it's interesting right now in the division because Khabib's champion. There's a lot of guys sort of vying for the next title shot. Who do you think should fight him next for the title? Do you think Conor McGregor should still have the shot? now that Khabib announced that he wants to come back sort of in Madison Square Garden in November, December? Or do you think one of these other guys like Kevin Lee or Dustin Poirier might deserve it instead?
Yeah, Kevin Lee. Well, McGregor, I think, that's what the UFC would want if he can get his legal nonsense out of the way. Dustin, Kevin Lee, Eddie Alvarez is talking about fighting him. I don't know what he's talking about.
Eddie Alvarez is talking about a potential interim title. What do you think about that notion?
Fight for an interim title for what? For who would he fight for an interim title? Not Khabib. He'd fight somebody else.
I think he mentioned Lee or something like that. I mean, you mentioned Conor McGregor's legal dramas. We all saw the craziness that happened on the bus, and you released a video as well from your perspective. But just telling us, what was it like being on that bus as McGregor was throwing that stuff at the windows with Screw?
Going back, an interim title for Eddie Alvarez wants that interim title. Khabib just fought, and he's going to fight in November. So why are you going to fight? Why does Eddie Alvarez think he deserves an interim title shot? When it's just a number one contender fight. That's all it is a contender fight. Why interim title on it? You're going to fight, Khabib is the champ. He's going to wait till November. Figure it out. You got to fight somebody. You don't fight for somebody for a title when there's three contenders. Fight Kevin Lee or fight Poirier again. Honestly, he should fight Poirier again. That fight, they have unfinished business. And I heard he keeps turning down that fight, so I think he needs to take that fight. But yeah, that bus was crazy. That whole thing was insane.
Was it as bad as people sort of made it out to be? I know a lot of fighters were pretty shaken. There was glass flying all over the place. Was it pretty crazy when you were in there? A lot of fighters said it was pretty scary, and employees obviously got hurt. Did it look like a pretty crazy situation when you were in there?
It got pretty crazy pretty quickly. It was on the other side of the bus, and they just started pulling away, and I just heard banging. So I kind of thought that someone was. I almost thought someone was getting run over by the bus.
Jeez.
Wow. They were banging on it like, stop, you're running, you're killing somebody, And so I was like, shit, this is crazy. And then someone comes flying through the window, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay. Enough with the, this might be like a terrorist attack, someone shooting at it, like a crazy person going nuts, like one of these schools shoot, like, I don't know, the Waffle House guy now, this and that, maybe somebody's got something against fire. I don't know, who knows? I was trying to almost like just see what the heck was going on, stay calm, almost like laugh about it, try to keep it, because everyone was freaking out. And then I saw Conor, and I was like, oh, this all makes sense. But still, it's a little scary, because you still don't know what's going on. It's like the bus is getting attacked by a bunch of people. But once I realized he was going after Khabib, and that was what the deal was, I was like, all right. I just whipped out my phone and started recording.
Is it true that Khabib apparently laughed through the whole thing and didn't really faze him?
Yeah, man, he was cool. I was sitting right in front of him, and he started yelling at him. I think in Russian they were yelling at Conor, and they wanted to get off the bus. Ali and Khabib and the UFC guys were holding everyone on the bus, and I was just kind of going along for the ride, like seeing, I was like, wow, what a crazy sequence of events. I thought we were just going back to the hotel, and now we got to give police statement. They said we were going to have to give police statements. I never actually had to, but yeah, that was intense. That was an intense 3 days. That happened on Thursday. Then Friday was the weigh-ins. All the nonsense with Holloway's out, then Pettit, and this and that. So I find out the next day I find out I'm fighting in the main event, headlining the Barclays Center, and then the following night after that I go 5 rounds with the champ. You know what I mean? So that's probably, I don't think I can top that 3 days ever.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
can. I don't know. I think that took a couple years off my life for sure. That was something. That was three. I didn't really sleep at all those 3 days. I was like wired. You know, just so much excitement and so much energy. So yeah, my adrenaline took me through that whole weekend.
Well, you did a really big solid for the UFC, and I mean, you've spoken to us about the fact that you and Dana White haven't always been on the same page, and you and the UFC have had your issues in the past. But do you feel like this is almost like a fresh start? I guess the UFC would be very appreciative for what you did for him, saving the event, UFC 223. Do you feel like you guys are almost in a better place now than where you used to be?
I hope so. I think so. You know, I got a bunch of love from all the employees. They all called me and thanked me for taking the fight and told me how much they appreciated it, how good the fight was and whatnot. So yeah, that was cool, and we'll see how it goes going forward. I think there's still a few things that need to be addressed for sure, but yeah, we'll see how everything plays out.
What are you thinking as far as the timeline? Because, over the last couple of years, there's sort of been big breaks between your fights. Getting in there, fighting for a world title. Does this make you sort of want to get back in there sort of quicker? When do you think we'll sort of see you back in the octagon?
Absolutely. I want to get back in there soon. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what kind of opponents. We'll see what kind of... I need the right fight at the right time at the right place. And it's got to make sense at this point, And
the right price as well, right?
That's obvious, of course. That might be the most, it's all an equation. It all gets, put together, and hopefully it's got to make sense and go out there and have some more fun.
Do you have to renegotiate a new contract? Because I think I remember you saying that your last one was. By the way, we'll let you go in a moment because we know it's super late there, Al. But just
good, man.
Dude, we really, really appreciate your time. We know you just had dinner and stuff like that, and it's late over there, so really appreciate it. But just quickly, I think your last fight was a one-fight deal, or you said you were looking at it as a one-fight deal, and then, of course, there was 223. So does this mean you got to do a new contract or renegotiate for when you fight again?
Yeah, we got some talking to do depending on, who the opponent is, and we'll figure it out. It's all up in the air right now. But yeah, we got to sit down and figure some stuff out.
And I guess the thing that we spoke about last time, and it was, very disappointing that you couldn't come to terms with the UFC. They didn't offer you the money that you wanted, and you didn't get to be on that first Madison Square Garden card. So what would it mean to you to possibly fight in November at Madison Square Garden? I guess that's the card that Khabib's sort of focusing on. Is that a card that you're focusing on as well, to be on as well?
Yeah, that would be nice.
It's almost full circle. It's almost like you've come full circle if that happens,
Yeah. I don't know how I felt about fighting in New York. There's a lot of... I don't know. I like to travel, But obviously, if it's the right fight and it's in New York, I love it. I love having, my friends and family come and watch the fight on a train ride. But
do you feel like it's almost a little bit more pressure because your family's there, your friends are there, you're kind of the hometown hero, so people are expecting a bit more from you?
I almost like that. The more people eyes on me and the more crowd, I like that. I don't know. It's just I like to go away, especially in November. I'd rather fight in Australia in November.
Hey.
This is funny because I was going to say you're actually undefeated in Australia. You fought here before. The climate's good. And we usually have November cards. That's the thing. I mean, look, it might be a fight night. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think we're going to be lucky enough to get a pay-per-view. But November's pretty much the thing for the last, I don't know how many years, every November we've had a card. So if you're willing to come down and fight here, hopefully, the equation adds up and you fight here because we'd love to have you. Hopefully you get a nice, a good opponent and a good, pay rise, a fat check, a good price. In the meantime, guys, by the way, Al, we really appreciate you jumping on the program, man. We'll let you go because we know it's late over there. You had your dinner and you're taking the time to sort of, go through all these stories with us. But don't forget to follow them at Al Iaquinta on Twitter and Instagram. A lot of great stuff there. A great follow. Like we said, a fun back and forth between Tony Ferguson that you would have missed if you weren't following the man. And homeknockout.com. That's the website, right?
That's it, man. At Iaquinta on Instagram and Twitter, homeknockout.com. I want to thank American Ethanol, one of my sponsors. And Team Serra-Longo, love those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. We love them as well, man. We'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your night, and thanks so much for chatting. We'll get you on soon.
Thanks, Al.
Appreciate it, guys. I'll see you in Sydney.
We'll see you in November.
Catch you there.
See you later.